Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what famous place is not worth visiting? Times Square on New Year's Eve. Just forget it. It has never been worth it. I remember a radio host I heard as a kid said the following: the amazing thing about Times Square on New Year's Eve isn't that you get tens of thousands of people there every year, it's that you get a whole different set of tens of thousands of people there each year. Nobody wants to do it twice, because it's cold and boring and crowded and filthy. Because it's cold and boring and crowded and filthy. All of these things, except boring, are just NYC in January. You'll also never see the ball drop unless you're willing to wait on day and risk soiling yourself in the freezing cold while you sober up too soon. In case anyone thinks you're joking, people really do piss themselves at this thing. There's nowhere to go. Go the night before, 12/30. They test out the ball drop and the screens and everything. You get to see it all when Times Square is empty. Me, an Egyptian, ah shit, here we go again. Hey wait. My friend. I read your comment. I think that's worth a tip. No. Presents hand for money to be placed in. Asterisk checks hand asterisk. Half a deanery for me bloody life story. In 3rd grade a meteor crashed in the backyard of a kid's house in my neighborhood. He talked about it every day at school and said people weren't allowed to see because NASA was collecting samples. A few days later he said we could go see but everyone had to pay $5. Me and a few friends paid him and went over his house later that day. When we got to the backyard we saw a 3-foot deep hole that was clearly dug by a shovel. We called him out on it and he said something like, "That's where it landed, but the scientists dug around it with shovels to take samples." Worst $5 I've ever spent. I have no idea where you are nowadays, but fuck you, Benji. Benji's either a millionaire or in jail. Chances are Benji has already dug himself out of prison under the guise of a meteor strike. Hi Benji here. I invested that money into early Bitcoin, got rich, fucked a lot of women, caught syphilis, lost all my money on red, went mad, chopped off my own penis which I turned into an art installation that is now on display at the Louvre. 10 out of 10 recommend going to see that. I will even take you on a guided tour for $5,000. Plymouth Rock in Plymouth, Ma. It's literally just a small rock. It's not even the real thing. It was brought there just to have something symbolic to look at, but no one has any clue where the pilgrims landed in Plymouth. It wasn't even their first landing. They landed in Cape Cod and found it easier to set up camp in Plymouth. Cape Cod was too expensive even then. Hollywood Walk of Fame. It's a sidewalk and outside of maybe big events where they may clean the ones around where photos may be taken, it otherwise is just covered in dirt from people's shoes and some are barely legible because they haven't been cleaned in ages. Haha, this is the answer for sure. Every time I'm in La and someone wants to go I'm like, look, whatever's in your head, keep that image, it's just better, I promise. That being said, walking it and finding stars is kinda fun if you have to walk that street anyways. Like it's a fun street to walk, just a terrible place to have as a destination. My recommendation to anyone who wants to see the Walk of Fame during their visit, make it a stopover. Your destination should be something nearby. Personally, I'm a fan of getting a ticket at the Chinese theater. If you are a movie person, see something on its opening weekend. The theater will be full of film buffs who all are into whatever genre movie it is. You will have a great time, the energy is palpable. After that, go for a stroll down the Walk of Fame to stretch your legs and look around. The entire experience will be much more positive if you see it as a simple sight rather than a destination unto itself. Yeah, I was disappointed in how dirty the whole area was. Hollywood Walk of Fame, dirty ass street with cheap shops and homeless everywhere. Only nice spot was near the theater. I came here to say this if no one else had. I have lived in the Greater La region my whole life, I can confirm the Walk of Fame is terrible, at least when I went. Last time I went was when I was 10, I remember a bunch of people in character costumes and trying to get people to take pictures with them for money. There were also people hawking CDs and demanding money after shoving them into some unwitting SAP's hands. At no point was I there without at least one parent holding my hand tightly. I will concede this was over 15 years ago, though. Hearing mixed things about it now. Assuming you're an adult, it's gotten so much worse since the pandemic. There are barely any characters on the streets anymore. Now you have just random people holding snakes, protesters, religious preachers, etc. Went there last weekend and saw crack openly smoked on a Sunday afternoon. And all of the shops in the mall have been closed with signs saying renovations. But they now allow the famous bacon-wrapped hot dog vendors to openly sell on the street, so it smells nice. I just don't understand why Los Angeles allows one of their most visited neighborhoods to be such a shithole. Like, say what you want about places like Santa Monica, Beverly Hills or Manhattan Beach, but at least they keep their cities clean and a desirable place to visit. I work close to Times Square in Manhattan. If you have an ad blocker on your computer, you will hate Times Square. Are they skippable at least? Ha. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. But really, I like living in NYC, but there are so many better places within it to visit. Niagara Falls is a really cool site, but it's not worth a trip if you're staying on the American side. The Canadian side is way better and has more things to do. I live 15 minutes from Niagara Falls, and our family was talking about this just yesterday. There's a major international tourist attraction right on their doorstep, but the city of Niagara Falls, NY, is a crime-ridden dump. I used to work a couple of blocks from the Rainbow Bridge on the US side. Honestly, the falls is /are the only thing to see there, and while the Canadian falls are higher and way more impressive, that's where it ends. A Canadian of my acquaintance once IMO accurately described Niagara Falls, as a Canadian take on Tijuana. You can see Mount Rushmore perfectly fine from the road. No need to pay to see it. Did you go recently? It was completely redone when I visited in 2017, and people there were saying it was night and day compared to the before. Oh, that's good. I hadn't mentioned it in my first comment about Rushmore because I was hoping that was the case. Land's End, UK. Heralded as the fourth most disappointing attraction in the UK. It's not even disappointing enough to win an award. I mean the landmark in Cornwall, not a clothing store. Dearie me. If you're going to Cornwall, I hear the Bute Tunnel is the one attraction you can't afford to miss. Nowhere else in Bute can you walk this far undercover in a continuous straight line. Hot damn. The reviews are mayo. When you look into the eyes of God, the Bute Tunnel looks back. Egypt, they treat tourists like garbage. Yay, heard that from multiple people. I guess I too just stay in the hotel then. Depends on whether you're a man or woman. I, as a woman, couldn't even get the Wi-Fi password without a man accompanying me. The waiters were also terrible and flirtatious. Though if you're a man, you have to deal with the salesman. We couldn't lay by the pool at the hotel for more than 15 minutes before a salesman wanted to talk with the man of the group. A border policeman in Egypt once asked me for a bribe to cut in a long line. $3 well spent. Lol. That's a thing at the Vietnam/Cambodia border, too. You better stick $5 in your passport, or you are in for a boring few hours of watching everyone else get processed. Egypt. It's like if phone scams were a materialized location. You get there and right away the airport is going to start scamming you, take your electronics away and tell you that you need permits for them, which they will gladly sell you, and then tell you that it's the wrong one and have you buy another one. The hotel you stay at will check your bags again like the airport did and again tell you that you need permits or whatever random thing they decide they can get away telling you needs one. The police will extort money from you if they think they can. Fake police will come up to you and fine you or tell you to follow them to different sites where they will charge you. Children will run up to you and ask if you want to ride their camel very aggressively. They will cut you off with their camel and not let you move forward, tell you it's free, and then try to charge you insane amounts of money and call their camel pimp over to deal with you if you don't pay. If you don't get on the camel, they will often even get the camel to attack you. It's all pretty wild, it's not worth it. Reading a lot of frustration about Egypt here, but learning about the existence of camel pimps really takes this up a notch. Camels need pimps to hold their money, they don't have pockets. And this is why you should always hire a well-vetted tour guide when touring countries that struggle with corruption and bribery. Struggle my ass, sounds like they got that shit figured out pretty well. Just watched the best ever food review on YouTube about Egypt, and like 90% of what you described happened on there. It made me confident that I'll never go to Cairo. My guide in Jordan at Petra found out we were going to Cairo next and laughed and suggested we change plans. He, who can fare far better with the language, said he went for what should have been a week and only stayed 2 days. We went, saw some sights, had amazing gyros and falafel, and then spent the next 2 days basically in the room. My wife almost got kidnapped by a taxi driver, we were extorted left and right, and had real fears of even being able to leave the country. One of the very few I had the embassy on speed dial while I was visiting. Never again. While the Louvre is amazing and can consume entire days of walking, don't bother fighting the crowds to see the Mona Lisa. It's tiny and has a crowd of tourists dozens deep all taking pictures. No flash photography be damned, so all you see is flash reflecting off the protective glass. Also, rumor has it that the real Mona Lisa is in a basement and that the one you see is just a very convincing replica. I went to the Louvre in 2009 and the painting opposite the Mona Lisa was significantly more impressive. A 20 feet tall canvas encompassing the entire wall. Was a very detailed painting of a courtroom if I remember right. Spent more time looking at that cause I could barely see the Mona Lisa through the crowds. La Oz di Car if I am not wrong. It's a masterpiece by Verroese, one of the masterpieces of Italian Renaissance. Not just any painting. https://m.wiki/the_wedding_at_car. My wife and I went to Paris in January, and seeing the Mona Lisa without the crowd was actually kind of cool. She's an art major, so she was totally into it, and I thought it was super interesting how small it actually was. Much smaller than the one my grandma had hanging above her couch.